Hi, welcome back. Today we're making a designer style handbag. But before we get started, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Anne and I love to sew and design and create new things. I also like to recycle fabric and use old jeans, clothes, whatever I can. I even take off the zippers off items, buttons, all the hardware from old purses, whatever I can get my hands on that is useful, and I create a new item with it. If this is something you like to do, please subscribe. And let me know in the comments below the kind of things you like to upcycle and you like to create. Today we're making a denim purse. You could do this, of course, with any type of fabric that you have. Now, to get a big enough piece for this, you can use an old skirt, denim skirt, or if you don't have enough big enough piece, just piece together and sew it together, a big enough piece. This piece here is 14 inches by 24 inches long. So I cut that out for the outside of the purse, and since it's a stretchy kind of denim, I ironed on some lightweight stabilizer just so it doesn't stretch out of shape when I'm sewing it. And I have another piece here. We're going to be starting off with the lining because we're going to be putting in a zipper pocket on the inside of the purse. I've already marked this out to be the center. So this piece here is actually 14 by 24 as well. And I've marked out a piece, so I centered it here. This is where we're going to be putting the pocket on the inside. And I have a zipper here that I'm going to be doing a 5-inch opening for the zipper. So this pocket piece here is 7 inches wide and 12 inches long. And I also put some stabilizer on the back of this as well. And I went down about an inch, inch and a half from the top. It doesn't really matter, you can go a little higher if you want, as long as you save enough room for a seam allowance on top for later. And in the center, I put a 5-inch wide line, and it's 1/2 inch here. And I just made like a rectangle that's 5 inches by 1/2 inch. And then I put a line through the center, and then at each end, I just drew a little triangle there. Ignore this line underneath. I decided to go a little higher, so so that one there. So it's 5 inches wide by 1/2 inch long, and then there's a line in the middle. And first thing we're going to do is center this, and we're going to be sewing in the pocket here first. So we're going to just pin that to the center. And I'm just going to sew around the edge. So I've sewn around the edge. And after you're done doing that, cut the line in the middle right up to the tip of the triangle, and then cut down right to the corner like that without cutting the threads, just like that. And then after you're done doing that, you're just going to poke all this through. And then press it all down nicely. So after we've pressed this, we're going to be placing the zipper. Since the zipper opens at this end, I put a few stitches of thread in here just to keep it closed, so when we're sewing this and pinning this together, it stays in place, and because we want to keep these close together. So just a few stitches, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. And we're just going to try to place it where this is center. And then we're just going to go and stitch right around the edge. After I finish sewing in the zipper, we're going to take this and fold it in half on the other side. First we need to cut these ends. We're going to sew the pocket. Just make sure you don't sew any of this piece here. Now the pocket's finished. So that's your inside pocket for your purse. So now we're going to work on the outside of the handbag. And right now I am with tailor chalk and a ruler marking out 2-inch wide lines that are on an angle. And I'm going to be doing it across this way when I'm done. Now I'm going to go and start on this end, and I'm just going to put lines that are 2-inch wide on the same angle. So I have all my lines put on, and I've cut a piece of quilt batting to put underneath, and I'm just going to pin this together, and we're going to sew along each line, and I'm going to be using thread that you would use to make denim jeans. It's a thicker thread, and it'll give it a more authentic denim look. I'm going to be starting at the middle and work my way out. Now that I have these all sewn, I'm going to be marking the middle. Since this is 24 inches long, I'm just going to put a mark at the 12-inch on each side. We're going to sew a bottom onto the handbag because it just gives it more of a professional look. And I've cut a piece that is a little over, like about 4 inches wide, and I just pressed in about 1/4 inch on each side, and I put some iron-on stabilizer on there as well. And I'm just going to pin this to the bottom, the center. And I'm going to just sew this on with matching thread. So I have that sewn on, and now we're going to be putting the inside piece and the outside piece aside for now, and I'm going to be making the straps. So for the straps, I've cut 17-inch long strips that are 3.5 inches wide, and there again I put some iron-on stabilizer on. It's very lightweight stabilizer I'm using. It's just so it doesn't stretch out of shape. To sew the straps, I'm just going to fold these in half and just sew right down one side. So after I've sewn the handle and I pressed in the ends just a little bit, and I pressed it down with the seam down the middle, and then I marked off 4 inches from each end with tailor chalk, and now we're gonna fold that in half. After I've sewn up the straps here, what I did was I cut out a piece like this. You could use whatever you want, leftover vinyl, scraps of vinyl, if you wanted to sew something, just to sew these onto the sides of the purse. I'm using this, and I just made up a piece, like a shape. You could make it whatever shape you want, just long enough where I could just fold this in through the D-ring like this, and or it's long enough where you could just sew it, leave that, and sew the bottom right around. It'll look kind of decorative. And I measured the straps to be, I measured down 2 inches. I drew a line across. I measured in 3.5 inches. And so to make it the same on each side, what I did was I measured where the bottom of the D-ring is. So the D-ring will end here at the 3.5 inches, and on each side, and then this will be below it. And this way, hopefully, both the straps on both sides will be the same. And since it's really hard to pin this, what I'm going to do is actually tape it into place with some masking tape and just pull it off as I need to. Just want to make sure that's folded down enough that I'm going to catch it with that seam going at the bottom. I'm hoping this makes sense, and trying to make them the same length. They're a little off. This one looks a little shorter. The first thing I'm going to do is on the top of with the zipper facing up, I'm going to be sewing the denim part. This is how it should look when you're done sewing up the zipper. I'll be top stitching this in a minute. I'll have to change my thread on the machine. But before I do that, we're going to be sewing the little ends for each side of the zipper. So I've already pre-pressed the edges and we're just going to sew down. Oops, I have to change my... So I have these little pieces turned right side out and I press them down, and I'm going to cut my zipper about here. And I'm just going to sew that in. Just want to make sure it's flat. So we're going to set aside the zipper piece. That's one of the last pieces we're going to attach. And the next thing we're going to do is pin these together and sew these pieces. So I have both pieces pinned together, and I'm going to go to the sewing machine and I'm just going to sew right around, and I'm going to leave an opening right here to turn it right side out. We have this turned right side out and pressed down, and there's an opening still on the side, and we'll take care of that later. Right now we're going to sew up the sides. So I've cut these pieces of fabric. I've measured them to be the length of the side from here over and about a ½ inch longer. And then for the width, I've made it a little wider, and then I measured down on each side ½ inch, and then I put a line across over here this way, a ½ inch, and then a ½ inch from here I put another line, and then I put a line straight down, and then I put a line for the seam allowance on top. So both sides will be the same. And then so this will be our sewing line. So the sewing line will be the ½ inch going in, down here, around here, down, around, and we're going to just sew in these little corner pieces here. I've sewn along the side. On the back here you can see exactly how I sewed it. So there's little notches on each side. And I'm just going to clip the corners and then turn it right side out and press it really good. This is what it looks like after it's done, and we'll do both sides just like that. Now we're down to the final steps of making the handbag. With these pieces here, we're going to pin them to the sides with these matching up to the bottom piece here. So for the zipper, we're going to fold up a little bit on each side here and just pin it to the edge like this. And go to this side. I actually put a zigzag stitch on the edge just to keep the pieces together. All we have left to do is sew up each side. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't yet subscribed, please subscribe and have a great day. Bye for now.